I bought 3 pairs of shoes last week. I don't need any of them. I already have shoes. Too many shoes, honestly. But I was scrolling through my phone at midnight, couldn't sleep, felt this restless emptiness, and there they were, on sale, limited time offer. And before I could think about it, I'd added them to cart, entered my payment info, and clicked buy. The rush was instant. That little hit of dopamine, that momentary excitement. For about 15 minutes, I felt good. Then the package arrived 3 days later and I felt nothing. Maybe a flicker of regret. uh, Definitely guilt when I saw my credit card statement. But by then, I was already browsing for something else because that empty feeling was back and shopping was the only thing I knew that could fill it, even if just for a minute. And that's when I realized I'm not shopping because I need things. I'm shopping because I need to feel something and I don't know how to stop. If you've ever bought something you didn't need just because it made you feel better in the moment, if your closet is full of things with tags still on them, if you feel a rush when you buy but emptiness when it arrives, if you've hidden purchases from people you love or lied about how much you spent, this is for you. Because compulsive shopping isn't about being materialistic or irresponsible or loving stuff too much. It's about using consumption to cope with something you can't name. And understanding why you can't stop shopping might be the first step to figuring out what you're really trying to buy. Let me explain what's actually happening when you can't stop shopping. Most people think it's simple. You like things, you want them, you buy them. But for someone who compulsively shops, it's not about the things at all. The things are just the delivery system for the feeling. And the feeling is what you're actually addicted to. Psychologists call this retail therapy, but it's not therapy at all. It's self-medication. You're using the act of purchasing to regulate emotions you don't know how to process any other way. Anxiety, shop. Sadness, shop. Boredom, loneliness, stress, emptiness, shop, 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 shop. The purchase becomes the drug, and like any drug, it works for a minute until it doesn't, and then you need more. Here's what happens in your brain when you shop. The moment you find something you want, your brain releases dopamine. That's the anticipation chemical, the one that says this is going to feel good. You add it to cart and dopamine spikes. You enter your payment info, dopamine spikes higher. You click purchase and there's this rush, this momentary high. Your brain is flooded with feel-good chemicals. For a few seconds or minutes, whatever you were feeling before, the stress, the sadness, the void, it disappears. You're distracted, you're excited, you're momentarily happy. But here's the catch, that high fades fast, usually before the package even arrives. And when it does arrive, when you open it and look at the thing you bought, there's often this flat feeling. This now what? Because the purchase wasn't actually about the item. It was about the feeling of purchasing. And that feeling is already gone. So what do? You shop again. Because your brain remembers that rush, that temporary, immediate relief. And it wants it back. And that's how the cycle starts. Shop, feel good, feel empty, shop again. It's the same pattern as any other addiction, just socially acceptable. Nobody stages an intervention because you bought too many candles. Nobody tells you that you need help because your closet is full. Society actually encourages this. There's always a sale, always something new, always an ad telling you that this product will make you happier, more confident, more complete. And when you're already using shopping to cope, that messaging is dangerous. It's gasoline on a fire you're already trying to put out. But why shopping specifically? Why not something else? For a lot of people, shopping fills multiple needs at once. First, there's the control aspect. Maybe your life feels chaotic, unpredictable, overwhelming. But when you shop, you're in control. You decide what to buy, when to buy it, how much to spend. It's a small, manageable decision in a world full of impossible ones. Second, there's the identity piece. Shopping lets you curate a version of yourself. The clothes you buy, the aesthetic you create, It's all about becoming the person you wish you were. The put-together version, the successful version, the version who has their life figured out. You're not buying a dress. You're buying the fantasy of being the kind of person who wears that dress. Third, there's the instant gratification. In a world where everything feels hard and slow and uncertain, shopping gives you immediate results. Click, buy, done. You wanted something, you got it. That sense of accomplishment, however small, however hollow, it's there. Fourth, there's the distraction. When you're shopping, browsing, comparing, deciding, your brain is occupied. You're not thinking about the thing that's actually bothering you. The relationship that's falling apart, the job you hate, the loneliness that follows you everywhere. Shopping is an escape, a socially acceptable way to avoid dealing with your real life. And fifth, there's the emotional regulation piece, which is the big one. People who compulsively shop are often people who struggle to process emotions in healthy ways. Maybe you grew up in a house where feelings weren't allowed, where you learned to push everything down and pretend you're fine. Maybe you never developed the skills to sit with discomfort, to feel sadness without trying to fix it immediately. So when difficult emotions arise, and they always do, you need a quick solution, and shopping works. It changes your emotional state instantly. Sad, buy something, feel excited. Anxious, buy something, feel in control. Empty, buy something, feel full for a minute. I know someone who maxed out 3 credit cards in a year, buying things she didn't need. Clothes, home decor, gadgets, subscriptions. Her apartment was full of unopened packages. And when I asked her why, she said something that broke my heart. When I'm shopping, I don't feel alone. She wasn't buying things. She was buying company. The browsing, the reviews, the transaction, the tracking the package, it all gave her something to focus on that wasn't the crushing loneliness she felt every single day. The stuff didn't matter. What mattered was the process, the ritual, the temporary relief from feeling. But here's what nobody tells you about shopping as coping. It doesn't work. Not really. It's a band-aid on a bullet wound. You might get a temporary hit of happiness, a brief distraction, a momentary sense of control. But the underlying issue, the thing you're actually trying to escape, it's still there. And now you have credit card debt on top of it. You have a closet full of regret. You have the shame of hiding your spending, the anxiety of bills you can't pay, the guilt of buying things you don't need when you can't afford the things you do need. The shopping that was supposed to make you feel better is now making you feel worse. And you're trapped in a cycle where the only thing that relieves the bad feelings is the same thing that's causing them. So where does this pattern come from? For some people, it starts in childhood. Maybe you grew up without much money and shopping now is about finally having the things you couldn't have then. It's about proving to yourself that you've made it, that you're not that kid anymore who couldn't afford what everyone else had. Or maybe you grew up with parents who showed love through gifts, who gave you things instead of time or attention. So your brain learned to associate purchases with love, with being cared for. Now, when you're feeling unloved or unseen, you buy yourself something because that's how you learned love is expressed. Or maybe it's more recent. Maybe you went through something traumatic, a breakup, a loss, a life change, and shopping became your way of coping. It started small, just a few things to cheer yourself up, but then it became a habit. And habits, especially ones that trigger dopamine, they stick, they become automatic. You don't even realize you're doing it until you're staring at a cart full of things you don't remember. Adding, clicking, purchase, because it's what you always do when you feel this way. There's also the comparison trap. Social media has made this so much worse. You're scrolling, seeing everyone's highlight reel, their perfect homes and perfect outfits and perfect lives, and you feel lacking. You feel like you don't measure up, so you shop to keep up, to create your own perfect aesthetic, to prove that you're doing okay too. But it's never enough because the comparison game has no finish line. There's always someone with more, with better, with newer. So you keep shopping, keep trying to fill that gap between who you are and who you think you should be. Let me be really clear about something. Compulsive shopping is not the same as enjoying shopping. There's nothing wrong with buying things you like, treating yourself occasionally, enjoying the process of finding something that makes you feel good. The difference is this: healthy shopping is intentional. Compulsive shopping is impulsive. Healthy shopping adds value to your life. Compulsive shopping is trying to fill a void. Healthy shopping is something you can stop doing without distress. Compulsive shopping is something you do even when you know you shouldn't, even when it's causing problems, even when you desperately want to stop but can't. Here's how you know if it's a problem. Do you shop to avoid dealing with uncomfortable emotions? Do you hide purchases or lie about how much you spent? Do you feel guilty or ashamed after shopping but do it again anyway? Do you have things in your home with tags still on them that you'll probably never use? Is shopping causing financial stress that you're ignoring? Do you feel a compulsion to shop even when you don't need anything? If you're answering yes to most of these, you're not just someone who likes to shop, you're someone who's using shopping to cope, and that's worth examining. Because here's what compulsive shopping costs you. Obviously, there's the financial cost, the debt, the money you're spending on things you don't need instead of things you do, like savings or experiences or financial security. But there's also the emotional cost, the shame, the guilt, the anxiety of trying to hide your spending or justify it to yourself or others, the relationships that suffer when you're lying about purchases or choosing shopping over time with people you love. There's the psychological cost too. Every time you use shopping to avoid your feelings, you reinforce the pattern. You teach your brain that feelings are dangerous and must be escaped immediately. You never learn to actually process emotions, to sit with discomfort, to deal with problems instead of distracting from them. And there's the cost of the stuff itself, the clutter, the overwhelm of having too much, the paradox of choice where you have so many options you can't enjoy any of them, the waste, the things you bought that never got used, that sit in your closet mocking you, reminding you of the money you wasted, the control you don't have. All of that takes up space, mental and physical, and the more you have, the more you need to manage, organize, decide about. Shopping was supposed to make you feel better. Instead, it's just created more problems. So how do you stop? First, you have to get honest about what you're actually shopping for. The next time you feel the urge to buy something, pause. Don't open the app, don't go to the website. Just sit with the feeling for a minute. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Am I sad, anxious, bored, lonely, stressed? And then ask, what do I think buying this will do for me? What need am I trying to meet? Because once you can name the real need, you can start finding healthier ways to meet it. If you're lonely, you need connection, not another package to track. If you're stressed, you need rest or movement or support, not stuff. If you're bored, you need engagement, purpose, something meaningful to do. Second, you have to remove the triggers. Unsubscribe from marketing emails, delete shopping apps, unfollow accounts that make you want to buy things. Stop browsing just to look, because looking always leads to buying. Make it harder to shop impulsively. Require yourself to wait 24 hours before purchasing anything non-essential. Give yourself time for the dopamine rush to fade and the rational brain to kick in. Third, find replacement behaviors. When you feel the urge to shop, do something else. Go for a walk, call a friend, journal about what you're feeling, move your body, create something. The goal is to interrupt the pattern, to prove to your brain that you can handle difficult emotions without buying your way out of them. It won't feel good at first. The discomfort you've been avoiding with shopping, you'll have to actually feel it. But feeling it is how you process it, and processing it is how you heal. Fourth, address the underlying issues. If you're shopping because you're lonely, the solution isn't to stop shopping and stay lonely. It's to build real connection. If you're shopping because you hate your job, the solution is to deal with the job situation. If you're shopping because you're depressed or anxious, the solution might be therapy, medication, lifestyle. changes. Whatever the root cause is, that's what needs attention. Shopping's just the symptom. And fifth, practice self-compassion. You're not broken or weak or bad with money. You're someone who developed a coping mechanism that worked for a while and now isn't serving you anymore. That's human. That's normal. Beating yourself up about it just creates more shame, and shame drives more compulsive behavior. So instead of judging yourself, be curious, be kind. Acknowledge that you're trying to take care of yourself the only way you knew how. And now you're learning new ways. Here's what I've learned. The things you own don't define you. The stuff in your closet isn't who you are. Your worth isn't determined by what you can buy or how your home looks or whether you have the latest whatever. All of that is external. And no amount of external accumulation can fix an internal emptiness. You can't buy your way to self-worth. You can't purchase peace. You can't consume yourself into wholeness. Those things come from within, from doing the hard work of understanding yourself, processing your emotions, building real relationships, creating genuine meaning. And the irony is, once you stop using shopping to fill the void, once you actually deal with what you're feeling, you often discover you need way less than you thought. The compulsion fades. Shopping becomes just a thing you do sometimes, not the thing you need to feel okay. And suddenly you have money you didn't have before, space you didn't have, mental clarity you didn't have, freedom. I want to ask you something. What are you really shopping for? And I don't mean what items. I mean what feeling, what need, what emptiness are you trying to fill? What would happen if you just sat with that emptiness instead of trying to fill it? What if the void isn't something to escape but something to understand? Because maybe it's not actually empty. Maybe it's full of feelings you've been avoiding, needs you've been ignoring, truths you've been running from. And maybe those things deserve your attention more than another thing you don't need. Drop a comment and tell me, do you struggle with compulsive shopping? What emotion triggers it most for you? Loneliness, stress, boredom? And what do you think you're really trying to buy? Because I guarantee there are thousands of people watching this who are drowning in stuff they don't need, trying to fill a hole that shopping can never fill. And knowing you're not alone sometimes makes it easier to start making different choices. And if this video helped you understand your shopping habits differently, if it gave you permission to stop using consumption as a coping mechanism, hit that subscribe button. As I make videos every week exploring the psychology behind our behaviors, why we do what we do, and how understanding ourselves better can help us live more intentionally. This channel is for people who are ready to face what they've been avoiding, to do the real work instead of just buying their way around it. Before I go, I want to leave you with this. You don't need more things to be enough. You don't need the perfect wardrobe or the aesthetic home or the newest gadget to be worthy of love and belonging. You're already worthy. The emptiness you feel is not because you're missing something you can buy, it's because you're missing connection with yourself, with your real feelings, with what actually matters. So the next time you feel that urge to buy something, that compulsion to fill your cart and click purchase, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what do I really need right now? And I promise you, the answer won't be in your cart. It'll be in the quiet moment, and you finally stop running and let yourself feel what you've been shopping your way around for so long. You deserve to be free from this cycle, free from the debt, the shame, the compulsion, free to spend your money on things that actually enrich your life instead of just temporarily distracting from it. And that freedom starts with one decision: not to shop, but to feel, not to consume, but to connect, not to buy, but to be. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being honest with yourself. I'll see you in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Until then, sit with your feelings. They're not as scary as you think, and they have a way more to teach you than anything you could ever buy.